Hi, and welcome to a Life Soul podcast, where we explore personal growth, high performance, and intentional living. I am Wasim Balani, and I believe life isn't just about getting through the day, it's about becoming fully alive in everything we do. Through my journey, whether in medicine as a heart rhythm cardiologist, cycling and running, or personal development, I have learned that success isn't just about reaching goals, but about who we become along the way. This podcast is here to inspire and challenge you to push your limits, cultivate discipline, and live with purpose. Join me each week as we dive into ideas, reflections, and practical strategies to help you grow into your best self. So let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome back to a Life Soul podcast. Let me start with a question. How many times have you said to yourself, how did this week go by so fast? Or even bigger than that, how is it already another year? How did the days turn into months, and the months into years? It feels like life is moving faster and faster. Mondays comes, and before you know it, it's Monday again. And of course, we're all busy. We wake up, we go to work, we go through our daily routines. We handle what needs to be handled. We answer messages. We move from task to task. Then we come back home. We eat, maybe grab our phones and scroll a little onto social media. Catch up with friends, talk to kids, get ready for the next day. And then we do it again and again and again. Until one day, you look back and realize the kids are older. We're older. And there's this quiet question in the back of our mind. Did I actually live that? Or did I just go through it? See, sometimes it feels like life moved, but we were not fully there inside it. And I think it happens when we slowly let our lives shift into autopilot or cruise control. See, when airplanes go on autopilot, it's meant to make the ride smooth. When you put your car on cruise control, it keeps things steady and comfortable. But imagine driving for hours and barely remembering the road. That's what can happen to our lives. They become smooth, predictable. They become comfortable. But we slowly lose our sense of the day. We lose our presence. And over time, we lose that deeper sense of aliveness. And here's the tricky part. Autopilot living doesn't feel wrong at first. In fact, it feels organized. It feels responsible. It feels mature. Like you've built routines in your life and created structure to it, and you know how to handle your day. And that's not a bad thing. See, routine is necessary. Habits are powerful. They allow us to build careers, raise families, and stay disciplined. But when everything becomes routine, when every day looks almost identical, and there's very little reflection or challenge, something starts to flatten. And I've lived that personally in the past. There have been days where I was doing meaningful work every single day, helping patients feel better or live longer, performing life-saving procedures, making decisions that impacted lives. And from the outside, everything looked fine. But internally, I started moving through it mechanically, room to room, case to case, chart to chart. I was efficient. I was productive, but I wasn't always fully present. And I didn't even realize it at first. And that's what makes the autopilot living so subtle. It doesn't announce itself at first. It just slowly becomes your normal. You get really good at functioning, but functioning is not the same as living. And here's where it gets interesting. If you let that quiet drift go on long enough, if you live on autopilot for years without really stopping to reflect, same schedule, same habits, same comfort zone, very little growth, very little challenge, something eventually starts to feel off. Not dramatic at first, just a subtle restlessness. You wake up one day and think, is this it? Is this what the next 20 years would look like? And that's often what people label as a midlife crisis. But I don't think most midlife crises come out of nowhere. I don't think someone just wakes up at 45 or 50 and suddenly loses their mind. I think what happened is much quieter than that. That you've been on autopilot for years. Same routines, same schedule, same comfort zone, very little challenge, very little growth, and very little intentional reflection. Life becomes predictable, and predictability feels safe for a while. But when there's no stretch, no evolution, no conscious presence, excitement slowly fades, curiosity shrinks, that sense of building something meaningful starts to dull. And after enough time of living like that, something inside starts asking for more. Not more money, not necessarily more stuff, just more aliveness. But instead of recognizing that they've been drifting, people assume something outside must be broken. So they think of buying something new like a new car. They switch careers. They move cities. They make some big dramatic move. And sometimes they even make changes in relationships, not because the relationship was the problem, but because something inside has been restless for a long time. And somewhere along the way, they start assuming that the environment is the problem. Maybe it's the job, maybe it's the city, maybe it's the routine itself. So they try to change scenery, hoping the feeling will change with it. But here's the thing, novelty does feel exciting. Something new wakes you up temporarily. It shakes you out of routine. But if nothing changes internally, if the habit of living unconsciously stays the same, eventually that new job, the new house, that new car, that new chapter becomes routine too. And autopilot living quietly returns. Because the real issue wasn't the location, it wasn't the car, it wasn't the relationship. It was years of letting routine replace awareness. And that's what makes this important. It's not about avoiding midlife crisis someday, it's about preventing years of unconscious autopilot living now. And for me, the shift wasn't dramatic. I didn't change career, I didn't reduce my workload, I didn't reinvent my life. I changed how I entered it. I started slowing down before walking into a patient room, just for a few seconds. I'd remind myself that this isn't just another appointment slot. It's a person who might be anxious, or hopeful, or scared. Someone who's trusting me. And when I walked in with this awareness, everything felt different. The same day at work suddenly felt meaningful again. And the same thing happened at home. There was a time where I had come home exhausted. Not disengaged, but internally, I was in let's go through the evening mode. Sit with the kids, talk a little, make it to bedtime. And one time I thought to myself, why does this feel like something I have to get through? And that's when it hit me. I wasn't tired of my family. I was on autopilot. Present physically, but half checked out mentally. I was moving through the routine without really being in it. And the only thing missing was the awareness, the presence. And then came the mindset shift from I have to sit with them to I get to sit with them. And that's when everything changed. Same evening, but different consciousness. And instead of counting the minutes to bedtime, I started noticing the moments and trying to become more present with them. And obviously, I'm not always fully present. I still slip into the get through the evening mode. But now I notice it faster, and that noticing is the difference. So, what do we actually do when we realize we are living on autopilot? What do we do when we catch ourselves going through the motions? At work, at home, in our routines. When we're physically present, but mentally elsewhere. How do we interrupt autopilot living and snap out of it? First, build small pauses into your day. Before walking into a room, before responding into a conversation, before leaving work, one breath, one reminder that this moment matters. Second, pay attention to your language and your mindset. Notice how often you say, I have to. Like, I have to go to work. I have to drive the kids. I have to go to this family gathering. When you say I have to, it subconsciously frames your life as a burden. as something being forced on you. Now try shifting it, not artificially, not in a fake positive way, but honestly. Instead of I have to go to work, try I get to go to work. I get to have a job. I get to provide. I get to practice what I trained for. Instead of saying I have to sit with my kids, say I get to sit with my kids. I get to witness this season of their life. See, nothing about the task changes, but the meaning does. And here's why this matters. This small shift forces you to pause and remember the meaning behind what you're doing. And that pause is what interrupts autopilot. Another tip is to practice being fully present in your day and minimize distractions. See, we've gotten used to filling every empty moment in our day with doing something. The second there is silence, we reach for our phones. We drive with something playing in the background. We eat while scrolling or watching something. And while there's nothing wrong with those things, I do them too sometimes. But when every moment is filled with distraction, you don't actually experience your day. You just move through it. You don't have time to reflect and feel your day. So practice creating small spaces of presence. One phone-free dinner. One quiet drive. One walk without headphones. Because when you minimize distractions, you start noticing things again. Your thoughts, your mood, and the people around you. And that's how you step out of autopilot. And maybe most importantly, add challenge back into your life. Learn something new. Train for something. Push yourself physically or mentally. Because challenges wakes you up. It forces attention. And that restores aliveness. So before we close this episode, I want to leave you with this. If you've been noticing your days and weeks are passing so quickly, and you're not even sure how, if your life feels full of routine tasks, and you're just going through the motions, then you've probably been on autopilot. And that awareness, that's the first step to stepping out of it. Routines and habits are meant to make your life easier, efficient, more structured. But if you're not careful, they can also make life automatic, less felt, less alive. So you're not in a midlife crisis. You don't need a new environment, a new car, a new house. You don't need to change your life to feel alive again. You just need to be present in it. Feel your day. Notice the moments. Shift your language. Reduce the distractions. Show gratitude for what's already in front of you. Because the problem was never your life. It was letting it run on autopilot. So be more intentional in your days and don't let autopilot living steal your sense of aliveness. And remember, every habit you build, every effort you make, it all adds up. So keep showing up, because the small steps you take today are shaping the person you become tomorrow. Stay present, stay intentional, and stay alive. That's it for this episode, my friends. And if you like it, please share it with people around you, because we all grow better when we do it together.